Hi, my name is James Church. I am a professor of computer science, and I would like to do a video series on how to use popular programming languages on both Windows and Linux. In our first video series, we're going to get started on Rust programming. In just this first video, what I would like to do is install Rust on both Windows and Linux. I'm going to do Windows first, and then jump to this timestamp, and we're going to install Linux second. Now, just to be clear, I am a professor of computer science, but the views and opinions expressed in this video are not that of my employer, and none of the content that is going to be seen in these videos is related to any of the coursework that I'm going to be teaching in any of my classes. This is just for you, the viewer, and hopefully you'll get an enjoyment out of these videos and an introduction to various popular programming languages. I want to do Rust, I want to do Java, and I want to do Python, maybe a few other languages. But we're going to start off on Rust today. And what I would like to do is to install Rust with Visual Studio Code, as you can see up on my screen. I would like to go over the tabs that I have open on my screen, and you should pause the video and get these tabs open as well. So we're going to start off with code.visualstudio.com/docs/languages/Rust, where you can get the installation to Rust in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to leave a link to this in the comments. Next up, we have just the code.visualstudio.com website open, so I can download for Windows. And then second, I have the page where I can download Rust. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to download Rust. All right, let's get that installation program started. All right, it's asking me to proceed with the installation, or I can customize the installation, or I can cancel. Let's just begin with the default installation. All right, we see that the application is downloading the cargo and the Rust docs and the Rust-C compiler. And I'm going to pause the video, and with the magic of editing, this is all going to get finished quickly. All right. I have a message on my screen that says Rust is installed now. Great. To get started, you may need to restart your current shell. This would reload its path environment to include the cargo bin's cargo's bin directory. All right, press any key to continue. Before I do that, what I would like to do is to run the CMD file, the CMD application, where we can get to a command line, and we're going to type in rust-c space -- version. And what this will do is it will run the Rust compiler with the version flag to let us know what version we are currently running. And it looks like I'm running version 1.95. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the Visual Studio Code page, and we're going to download Visual Studio Code for Windows. All right, and once again, with the magic of editing, we're going to let this finish. All right. Let's run that application. Now, I already have Visual Studio Code installed on this particular computer, so I may get a different screen than what you will see. This all sounds great. We're going to install it. Again, with the magic of editing, we're going to see this out to completion. And we're done. Let's launch Visual Studio Code. There we go. We get the release notes, and it shows that we are running 1.12 of Visual Studio Code. All right, let's return to our instructions and see if we can install the Rust plugin for Visual Studio Code. We have installed, let's install the Rust Analyzer. So let's install the Rust Analyzer plugin. We're going to return to Visual Studio Code. All right, in order to install extensions into Visual Studio Code, we're going to click on View, and then we're going to click on Extensions. And you can see here's all the extensions that we have available to us. Let's go ahead and look for Rust Analyzer. All right, there's the Rust Analyzer. Let's click Install on that. And we're going to Trust Publisher and Install. All right, I think we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and start a new project. All right, to start a new project, I'm going to use this command cargo new hello world. And I'm going to return to Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to click on View and Terminal. And you can see that it starts me in my Documents folder. And I think that's a fine place to get started. So let's type in, I really don't want to see the Copilot message. Cargo new hello underscore world. Let's see what happens whenever we run that one. Okay, it looks like we created the package. Let's go ahead and open that folder for our project. So we're going to open the folder, and we're looking for that Hello World program that we just created. So we're going to select that folder. Whenever we look at the Explorer view, we're going to see a list of Explorer dependencies up here. And I spent a long time trying to figure out, why don't I see my files in the Explorer view? And what we need to do is to right-click up here and go to Activity Bar Position. And you can see it's hidden. The activity bar is hidden. So let's make it at the top. And now with the activity bar, I can select Search, and then there's all the files for my project. Under the source, I can click on main RS, and that is our main file right there. Now down here in the terminal view, what I can do is I can say cargo build. And what that will do is it will compile the Hello World application, and it will tell us if it finished or not. And what I can do is I can say cargo run, and it should actually execute that file. You can see it says Hello World right here. For example, I can change out that world to say James, my name. We're going to repeat those steps again. Cargo build, and then cargo run. And there we go. We have now created our entire environment inside of Visual Studio Code, where I can analyze the source code from here, as well as access dependencies and compile my code. All right, we're going to swap over to Linux now. All right, we are now going to install Rust for Linux. And it's going to be a very different process because it's going to be exclusively using the Linux command line. You can see the website that I'm on now, rust-lang.org//tools/install. And because I'm on my Linux operating system, you can see that I get a much different screen than what you saw earlier for my Windows installation. Now, before we begin, what I always want to do is sudo apt update. Obviously, I'm using Debian Linux here. So my installation tips are going to be relevant to Debian-based operating systems, such as Ubuntu and, what else? Damn Small Linux and Kali. All right, let's see if we can upgrade my list. So sudo apt upgrade. All right. Now this is going to take a while, and with the magic of editing, we're going to finish updating my system. All right, we're back. Now it's time to install Rust. And what we're going to do is just grab this command right here. I'm going to copy it, and we're going to paste and run. Oh, curl not found. Okay, let's get curl installed. So apt install curl. Sudo apt install curl. There we go. There we go. And now let's curl and install Rust. There we go. Oh, and notice how we get a screen that is very similar to what we saw before. We're going to proceed with the installation. And with the magic of editing, we're going to let this finish. All right, Rust has now finished installing. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to completely close my terminal. And we are going to start up a new terminal. And we're going to run that rust c command that I told you to run in the Windows version. It's the exact same command. So rust c space -- version. And you can see that we are running version 1.95 on the on my Linux installation, the exact same version that I'm running on Windows. And now what I would like to do is just start up a new project. And I don't use an IDE whenever I'm on my Linux system, so this is going to be done entirely via the command line. So I have a directory on my installation called code, where I like to keep all of my code projects. I don't actually have any Rust programs on here, so I'm going to make a directory called Rust. We're going to cd into that directory. You can see that this particular folder is completely empty. And now we're going to run that command that created a new Hello World project. And that command is cargo, and the cargo is a Rust program, new Hello World. There we go. And now you can see that I've got the Hello World folder there. Now, the main Rust file should be under the src directory, also known as the source directory. And if I cat that particular file, so I say cat and then I say the name of the file, you can see that we have the full source code, which is identical to what we saw in the Visual Studio Code on the Windows installation. From here, I can run the exact same commands as I did in the Windows installation in order to compile and run my code. So let's compile the code. So that's cargo build. There we go. Our project is compiled. If I go back and run my ls command, you can see that there's a new folder called target. The binary executable is going to be stored in the target. But I don't have to worry about that because I can just say cargo run and it will execute my file. There it is, hello world. Let's get back into that source folder. And what I would like to do is to edit that file and then make it say something other than hello world. So I'm a big fan of the program VI, which is a very advanced editor. And I'm sorry to be showing this in a video intended for new programmers, but hey, it works. So I'm going to change that main to, that hello world to say hello James. And we're going to get out of here. Find your favorite editor on Linux and use it. The editor that I'm using doesn't really matter. We are now going to say cargo build in order to compile the application, and then cargo run in order to run the application. And you can see that it says hello James here. So in this video, we have installed and executed a simple program in Rust on Windows, and then we have done it again on Linux. And I hope that you gained a little benefit from this because I learned a few things about Visual Studio Code in the process of just making this particular video. Thank you so much. We are going to push into this topic in my next video. Thank you.